Good morning, everyone. We are live. We are getting ready for um, Disney's earnings today. If you're looking at the Nasdaq, I guess dating app Bumble just is having its IPO. I'm not quite sure what that makes it different than any other dating app. I'm sure there's something. I just haven't dated in a while because I'm married. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Bumble?
I'm also married. It's my wife's birthday, and
Oh,
I'm not gonna. Actually, I don't know. I think Bumble might be the one. There's one where the women have to write the men first, and I don't know if that's Bumble or not. But
yeah, it looks like that might be Bumble.
okay,
But congratulations to them. As the opening bell of the stock market hits, the Dow is moving higher. And along with that, Disney, once again, is up. It hit a high yesterday, an all time high of just over 190. It's right around that area now. It's seen a great increase in I'd say last week or so. If you look at the month chart here, um, it had its low sort of towards the end of January, and then starting February 4th, it has just started to peak and just down a little bit today. It'll probably go back and forth, for a little while until the market gets to digest some news. Jobs, unemployment numbers today, they're lower than they have been, but not as low as estimates. So that could be a drain on the market, but it looks like the market as a whole is performing very well because people with money need someplace to put it, and they're not getting it. They're not getting yields at a bank, so you might as well try and put it in the market. So it's driving prices higher.
what's really interesting is because we're still before the year point of when everything shut down. The 52-week high and low for Disney just keeps getting like a bigger and bigger margin, which is
Yeah, I think
kind of crazy.
if I look here, the 52-week high was yesterday at 190.70 cents, and its 52-week low was $79. So that's like two times plus a half, right? And so it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and Disney might be the luckiest stock GameStop might be the luckiest stock, but that they pivoted, to this direct to consumer before the pandemic. And so now the stock is being valued based off of Disney Plus. Parks are probably valued into it, especially as coronaviruses continue to drop rapidly. But with if it wasn't for Disney Plus, this company would basically have no place to make money. And so, the earnings are going to come out today. It's not going to matter, really. What's going to matter is Disney Plus subscribers, right?
Yeah. I think we'll probably get a few other questions about the parks, but I think, yeah, the focus is going to be on Disney Plus subscriber numbers and probably some dumb questions related to Disney Plus.
Well, and remember, this is the first quarter where they're going to be reporting out differently. So, it used to be studios, TV, basically, and then parks and products. Now it's going to be parks and products, DPEP, Disney Parks Experiences and Products, and then the Disney Media Entertainment Distribution Group. That's only people are going to show profit and loss. Obviously, you'd be happy with parks losses being minimal, with parks closed, but and then DMED, they expect a loss, right? They're investing in Disney Plus. So, I don't know that Disney's going to make any money. Earnings might be losses, but, the stock is still valued high because, they're looking to the future, like a tech stock, right?
Yeah. And the parks do have some things going for it. Like, even though last time we did the earnings and they mentioned that Disney World was operating at a profit, not a huge profit, but a profit.
Right.
So you have that. And then, anytime there's good vaccine news, that's when you see Disney shoot up a little bit too, because of the parks and the cruises and all the things that they need. So I wouldn't say it's not quite fair to say that it's all about Disney Plus, but that's definitely what's keeping it afloat.
Yeah, I just think in terms of the earning, where the bounce is coming from. I think we know. Yeah, people they're going to want to know how much parks lost. Disney World's making money, but not enough to offset the costs at places that aren't making money. But I think the cases on the vaccine, I mean, vaccine news would change it, but you're not going to get that on an earnings call, right? You're not going to get COVID cases on an earnings call.
I
So,
mean,
but
probably
I will
not,
say,
but they could surprise us with some sort of strategy or something
and,
to
and, and
vaccinate their cast members and things.
Lowell is going to announce. Today, I have with me CFO Christy McCarthy, Disney CEO Bob Chapek, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, who did appear on the Today Show and basically said April was going to be open season for vaccines. So, like, if anyone wants, by April, everyone who wants one will be able to get one, which is, I think, a little bit more optimistic than at least I was assuming. Which means, once assuming, 12 days after the vaccine, you should be good to go. And, I think you're going to have a lot of pent up demand, particularly for Disney, domestic Disney parks, because I feel like, there's that certain magic age where everyone wants to go to Disney World. Well, so you had a year where people weren't able to go. So people are going to want to go to make up for, the kids that couldn't go last year. We're going to have the kids this year. So I think there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. I mean, even amongst ourselves, right? Our team, many of us haven't gone for some time or haven't gone quite as frequently as we're used to. So I think there's going to be pent up demand, and it's particularly since Disney didn't basically cancel everything, right? I mean, there's still projects happening. I think they wisely sort of waited for better vaccine news to open Ratatouille. Over at or Remy's Ratatouille Adventure at Epcot. So you have, that drawing gate in, and then at, whenever Disneyland's able to open, whenever that is, you'll have Adventures Campus ready to go. So I think there's, I think the parks could have a huge upside, and even see that with cruise bookings, right? Cruise, no one knows when cruises are going to start, but bookings are good, for whenever that happens. They're seeing great demand towards the second half of the year. Which is good because with 3 new ships coming, you're going to have more inventory.
Do you think that yesterday there were some reports about the UK variant being in Florida and the administration considering action in terms of even blocking domestic travel to Florida? That's probably not going to happen, right? But do you expect them to get questions about that during this meeting?
I mean, I you never know what they're going to ask about. I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, in that report, they said they're going to work with local governments and states, before implementing these things. And there's no way Ron DeSantis is going to agree to this. And
right.
So, I don't see it actually happening. It might be sort of more of a theory, or it's all sources, right? Like, so I don't think when push comes to shove, you're actually going to see it happen. Unless the variants. I mean, at this point, the variants are, the vaccine seems to be working well with them. But
the UK one
does,
but not I think it's South Africa. Is that the other one?
Yeah, I mean, it works. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's not as good, right? And so I think if you start to see variants where the vaccine just doesn't work, then that's a different, or doesn't work to the point where it's going to provide immunity and get the virus in check. Then you might see more sort of draconian measures like you did before. But I think I think especially we're so close to April, and if not obviously if you get the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine, you got to get 2 shots and you got to wait another 2 weeks. So, it's not like April, everything's going to be hunky dory. But I think, assuming we can kind of speed that up, which is a big assumption, I think you'll be able to kind of make up for the fact that these variants are coming, but you just wanted to kind of beat them to the punch, because let's say it only works 60% for the variant. The more variants there are, then the percentage goes lower. So, I think that's why it's important everyone gets vaccinated as soon as they're able, as soon as they're eligible, because that's going to do well. I mean, just some breaking news as we're talking, not necessarily about Disney, but the Dow has just hit a record intraday high. Looks like it's up 88 points. Disney's stock down a nickel, basically. So, Disney is not pacing as high as the Dow, but still,
But it's
you know,
also been trending upwards against
right.
the thing for a few days. So
Yeah, I mean, it's been done so much better than the. I mean, and Disney as being part of the Dow 30 is sort of inherent. Hi, Parker Show. Hope you're doing well. Um,
So we talk a lot about the dumb questions that get asked during earnings calls. So what if you were an analyst, what would you ask about today?
what I want to, I mean, honestly, what I want to know, I think we understand what Hulu means. I think we understand what Disney Plus means. I think we know the content strategy. That was pretty clear at the Investor Day. I'm not so confident I understand what their live businesses, particularly news and sports. ABC News Live seems to be, it's the number one streaming news service, but that, in terms of monetization, in terms of growth, are they going to keep investing in that? Do they see that as paying out? Also, sports, if they're, how are they going to pivot from ESPN linear to, I mean, obviously it's going to be a hybrid model of sorts, but ESPN Plus, when are they going to make the splashy ESPN Plus announcement, like the Sunday NFL ticket style thing that we're kind of hoping for? The NFL rights deals, they'll ask about them, I'm guessing, but they're not going to tell anybody anything because they'll have to wait for that that news to come out through the proper channels. But I mean, to me, that's the bigger question mark right now. Is we Disney Plus is even at the Investor Day, we didn't get anything really new. We just got more volume, right? It's nothing like we're not like, oh my gosh, like that's a whole new pivot, And I mean, I've said before that I think that uh, um, the bundle, like if Disney had to go back again, could go back in time, they would have just made it as like one service, you know, and Disney Plus, Hulu, maybe different branding, maybe different landing pages, because I think it's fragmenting that. I think they could have gotten more money, kind of bundling it all together, and that's why when you go to DisneyPlus.com, it's it basically sign up for the bundle or Disney Plus, right? And internationally, they're bundling basically Hulu, which is Star, with Disney Plus, and then in many countries in Latin America, they're kind of creating Star, which is bundled with ESPN Plus or ESPN Linear or whatever. It's a little bit different, but I think I think how they're going to play into that bundle, I think is curious to me. I mean, I get Hulu strategy makes sense, right? You make content. I mean, it's I don't think anyone's surprised there, but I think because they're following basically a Netflix model, but these other things we haven't figured out. I think there hasn't been a player in live streaming as a live streaming provider that has really made a mark. And so what's their strategy to kind of take those businesses, which Disney's hugely exposed, not so much in news, but in terms of sports, obviously with ESPN, how do they expect to grow that business? What's your question?
Personally, I don't know if they'd give us any more information, but I would like to ask about Disneyland. And we just got the news about them doing like a ticketed event at DCA. I'd want to ask about that and kind of what led to how their decision to cancel annual passes, how they're looking at that and how that's going to affect their attendance going forward. I think that's a fair question. I don't think they're going to give us a lot of color on it, but I think you still might get some interesting quotes out of that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. What's their monetization strategy with the annual pass program, whatever it's called, the memberships, because obviously it's done, I mean, just like anything, right? It's done to either improve the guest experience, which can't say annual passes will do for the people in the park, but also, drive revenue. And the reports make me feel like they don't really know what they're going to do yet. They just know that when the parks reopen, they can't get flooded with 800 billion annual pass holders.
Right.
But
No,
it's this opportunity to kind of break the mold and do something new, which is more sustainable.
Yeah. No, like I'm definitely not expecting them to announce anything, but I think it'd be interesting to know what kind of led to that decision other than just that, and how that's going to hurt their bottom line when you don't have hundreds of thousands of people paying you hundreds of dollars.
Well, it'll be interesting also to see, they don't know what doing this is going to impact their visitation, right? So what's are people who used to have annual passes now just going to pay tickets to go, 3 or 4 times a year? Are they going to get one of these memberships? How is the membership, is the membership value, they might cost more, but so people might not get it, but then will that balance out? One of the things that Disneyland is good at is I think it made LA basically a Disney branded mecca, right? Like I think everyone there, because everyone has an annual pass, which is probably a problem, loves Disney, loves the brand. But I don't know, it's at the expense of a day guest who comes in. If you go to a Disney park on a Sunday, where all the annual passes are open season, and it's not a rainy day, it can be kind of miserable. And balancing that out, it'll be curious. I really, it's one of those things where I don't know the right way to go. And I think it's impossible to know the right way to go because we don't know how the economy is going to recover and how people's patterns have changed.
I think they're going to go to a Subway sandwich model where you get a stamp card and you visit 10 times and then you get the 10th one for free.
That would be awesome.
No, I actually would compare what I think what's pretty obvious now is that they're going to do something that looks sort of like the Flex Pass, where you're going to have a reservation. You might have a few gimmies. So I'm basically going to compare the membership program to like a single rider line. Like they'll take you when you'll help them fill up their numbers when they're ready for you, and when they don't, they'll halt that line.
Which has been kind of the idea for a long time, right? But then, because the passes were always like, they would have SoCal, then Deluxe, and different levels, and then there was the premium, but that was like you had to be really special. Now, granted, it was $200, which today just looks laughable, but it was $200 for a long time. And the idea was, okay, you're going to spend $140, and you'll come when the blackout dates will be when we're less busy. And in the Southern California resident passes, and the passes have changed over time, but it seems like no matter what people did, they still bought the passes, even as prices went up. And it's almost like you needed this just to kind of break the relationship so people didn't feel like they needed to buy one, or at that level. No one wants to downgrade their life. And I think, even when they went to the Signature, Premier became Signature, which was basically Premier minus the 2 weeks around Christmas. People still just, okay, that's the one I'll get. I'm just going to stay. Prices go up, but I'm going to still get this one because that's what I do. I'm an annual pass holder. It became so much a part of your identity. And, it just, despite the raising of prices and despite everything else, it wasn't moving Disney in the direction of keeping the park sustainable.
And they realized that, you'll be happy if we just sell you more stuff. Like if we just give you an exclusive opportunity to buy more stuff, you'll be happy. Okay, cool. Well, then why bother coming into the park? We can just do that at Downtown Disney. We got all sorts of open space now.
I know. It's funny. It's like, I wonder if they'll even when the membership starts, I wonder if they'll just keep like the legacy pass holder thing so that all those people will still go, we're going to let legacy pass holders buy things. And then they'll come in and they don't have to pay anything. That you're not going to sell it, but just because you were a pass holder, you do have the opportunity to give Disney money.
Yeah, I think that that dead AMC space is going to turn into like a mini company D for legacy pass holders.
Well, it's funny too because you look back and you remember when that was going to be like a hotel. It's like how much the planning around Disneyland has evolved so fast. Between canceling that hotel project, approving a different hotel project, COVID just completely messing up with Avengers Campus. We still don't know if part 2 of Avengers Campus is going to happen now that stuff in Hong Kong and Paris is delayed. So it's just been, it's not, in a way like the Disney Decade 2, you look back at what they announced and what actually happened, it's very different. But I think in the world where we're sort of more open, we know things more now. The rate of canceled projects and misstated, even before COVID, has just been kind of very high.
How's that Main Street theater?
That that Mary Poppins attraction. That that there's a I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the park's coming out process is going to be like. I mean, I know Disney World's open, but it's like, they're doing little things to kind of get people there. It's not like big, exciting times at Walt Disney World, right? It's open so you can get away, but it's not, they're not opening new attractions as of yet. There's not, big new initiatives. I mean, if anything, they're kind of taking things away, such as like Magical Express. But I wonder if the parks, when this is over, will do Investor Day style coming out party of like, okay, here's our big plans. Because, when we covered the IAPA presentation, it's clear Josh wants to dream big, Josh D'Amaro, chairman of Disney Parks Experience and Products. But, now they can't do it now. But will Disney then go, okay, green light, here's our big Disney decade, which they've done in the past, right? I mean, whether it's a D23 Expo or, they've or even, I mean, I keep going back to it, but the Disney Decade announcement, in a ballroom where they just roll out year after year after what their plans are. I think that will show more people that is like, okay, now's the time to come. Like everyone's stopped, everyone's kind of pulled back their travel plans, not quite sure when the green light is. But, if you say, okay, we're going to keep investing, this is a great business now, I think you'll see something. Keep going back to 9/11 with the flag raising ceremony. Like after 9/11, parks closed on 9/11, and going there on September 12th was kind of hard, emotionally. I mean, we were all still dealing with it and processing it. But a bit later, the president announced, okay, now we're going to raise the flag to full staff. Michael Eisner came out and was kind of like, okay, now we can have fun again. And I don't know if there's going to be that moment this time. It might be more of a trickle than like today's the day. But I think there's some value to be had in, the green light being turned on somehow. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't think anyone does. But stocks continue to edge higher, except Disney, which is just down 50 cents.
It was up a little bit earlier. I've been keeping an eye on it. It goes over 190, backs off a little bit, and then.
Yeah. This is why I'm not a day trader. But it is a busy day, Kyle. And when we're done here, attention's going to turn to Disney Springs, where Tony will be celebrating the Celebrate Soulfully event over there. Then he's going to be heading over to Epcot. Jeremiah's going to be at Legoland for the opening of their new stunt show. And then we will be back here after the earnings call to do a recap video. But 1:00 earnings our live blog will go live right around then. Earnings should come out shortly after the bell, around 1:00 Pacific. And then we'll have the investor call at 1:30. We'll live blog all of it and see what they have to say about Disney, parks, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, all that stuff. And hopefully drive this stock price even higher.
Before Shareholder Day, which is next month, right?
Yeah, March 9th, we got Shareholder Day. It's virtual, obviously, this year. So it'll be interesting to see.
How do you think the Q&A portion of the meeting is going to go this year? And do you think it's more or less conducive to gadflies?
I think it's going to be. I mean, I presume there's a function for it, but, they're using basically a shareholder design system, that does shareholder. I mean, this is going on for a year. So nearly every company has had a virtual shareholder meeting. And many companies do that as regular course. Not everyone holds in-person meetings anymore. But I think I think it could be very sloppy. I mean, it depends. If they have like a moderator, it might be okay. But then you get into issues of like, well, then we're stacking the deck for questions we like, which can get a little sloppy too. I mean, they've
Yeah,
not
I mean,
that.
there's gonna be a Gina Carano question. That's basically what I'm saying. Is that one guy is gonna get in, and then he's gonna
Yeah.
go through the whole thing about Joy Behar and Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. Um, you know, I I don't have much regardless of your political affiliation. I don't appreciate people using shareholder meetings as a way to make political statements instead of actually asking questions and holding the leadership of the company accountable. They always pretend that it's some major like investor thing, but in reality, you're doing it to make a point, and so that all the people watching Disney, hear you make your political point. I mean, it's not just straight up politics. I mean, there's been people who are talking about the joys of Montessori schools, and there's people talking about green mail and all. It's just stuff that's not really related to Walt Disney Company, but because people follow the Walt Disney Company, they want to make their statement, they want to have their moment. Disney's not going to change their policy on something because of this. Someone getting up. I mean, they might make a change because of a shareholder proposal. They might make it, on some like park operations thing because some fan says, "Oh, here's a good idea," which they've done. But they're not going to suddenly change how they run ABC News because some shareholder says something at a shareholder meeting. Becky says, "Oh." But I guess we should say if with parks coming back online, when you're ready to book, you should book with Mouse Fan Travel because they help you out, especially when it comes to all these like weird changes that you sometimes have to deal with because travel's been unreliable. But don't let that stop you from dreaming. It's even good just to have something on the books, even if you gotta change it, just so you have something to look forward to. But we're hitting about the time when Tony's event's about to start, so we will wrap up. Disney stock just up about a quarter as we head into. Oh, now we're down again. Well, we could do this all day. Becky wants to say it's early. I believe she's in Washington, so yes, it is early. It's early here too. That's why I had a friend who was like a stockbroker, or I shouldn't say I had a friend. My father had a friend who was a stockbroker when I was a kid, and he would always talk about how early he had to get up to get there before the bell, and that's why I decided I wasn't going to become that, and many other reasons is why I decided I was not going to become a stockbroker. So,
yeah, we're up again.
Well, maybe we should wrap up. Any last thoughts before we go, Cal?
I hope the people ask my question. That's about it.
Yeah, I'll email all my favorite banker friends and try and get
from. I forget which bank he's with, but I know Jason's right.
Citibank.
Citibank, that's right.
So thanks. Don't forget, we will be back live here at 8:30 Pacific, live from Disney Springs with Tony. And we will be back live blogging at 1 with our post-show at 3. So we'll be here for we don't know if there's going to be announcements. We don't know if there's not going to be announcements, but whatever's going to happen, we'll be here. And talk to you later. Bye, everybody.